The transit union sets a date for a possible strike. Nominations open for the 2014 municipal election. And the sled dogs are ready to run in Grand Portage. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Well, the city's transit union has set a date for potential work action that could include bus drivers walking off the job. Amalgamated Transit Union Local 966 says they are in a strike position just after midnight on January 20th. Roughly 170 members of ATU have been without a contract since June of 2012. ATU President Sheila Cavisto says job action could mean a number of things, including bus drivers hitting the pavement with picket signs. But she feels now that a date for action has been set, there will be some movement on the city's side. The last time the two sides met was in early October of last year when talks stalled.
Well, sometimes it doesn't feel like they are taking it seriously, or they're not taking us seriously, and I'd like to see that. I think the strike would make them really kind of wake up and realize that we mean business, and this is what we're going to do.
As you're aware,
General Manager of Facilities, Fleet and Transit Services, Michael Smith, says he anticipates talks with the conciliator will start again during the week of January 13th. The union is looking for a wage hike and say they are the second lowest paid transit drivers in the province. A transit strike was narrowly avoided in 2010 after a deal was reached just 2 weeks before the municipal election. Meanwhile, Hagee Transit has now officially handed over their services to the city. The change became effective January 1st. It will see Specialty Transportation Services receive a new name, and the administration will also change. But there isn't much else that's different for the average Hagee customer. The specialized transit service was transferred following a city council decision in 2013. Hagee bus drivers are now employees of Thunder Bay Transit. New decals will be in place on the buses by the end of February with the new branding called Lift Plus. Their service is being provided by the city with no increase to their net budget. That happened with the decrease in price of city fuel and the changeover in administration. City Transit Manager Brad Roloff says most of the changes are happening behind the scenes and customers won't notice a big difference.
Well, really from a user's perspective, from a customer's perspective, there's really no anticipated changes that they should see other than our hope is to be able to, again, as I mentioned, provide some increased trip numbers over the course of the year. But from a customer's perspective, it's the same processes that they're used to with regards to calling and booking for service or making their trip arrangements.
The city plans to increase the usership from 8,500 rides per year to 9,500 with the changes, and their long-term goal is to find a way for users to be able to book their trips online. Well, candidates looking to win your vote in the upcoming municipal election are wasting no time, and so far many are newcomers. Yesterday was the first opportunity to sign nomination papers for the October 27th election. By the end of today, 4 people had filed their papers at City Hall. Dennis Ward has more on those putting their name forward for the first time and those looking for another term.
You're not kidding.
It hasn't exactly been a flurry just yet, but nearly a handful of people have thrown their name in the hat for this year's municipal election. City Clerk John Hannum is expecting more names added to the list in the coming days. Some of those who did put pen to paper Friday include David George Noonan. He's ran previously in the 2003 provincial election in a riding in southern Ontario. Now he's taking a run in the Red River ward.
I think that there's a lot of exciting things going on in the city. There's a lot of room, a lot of potential for change. I'd like to see some changes happen, especially when it comes to infrastructure. There's a lot that has to happen with the roads. There's a lot that has to happen with sidewalks. There's a lot of mobility issues.
Business owner Shelby Chung also filed her papers Friday. She says she felt the call to do so and will run in the Northwood ward.
Infrastructure would be obviously a big issue. I also want to run on a youth vote. I think that we could do a lot more to keep youth in Thunder Bay. I know a lot of my friends have left. I decided to stay and really carve out a piece here.
Other newcomers to sign up so far include Logan Olivier in McIntyre and Kim Coro as an at-large candidate. Nearly all sitting members of council, including the mayor, have stated they intend to run for office again. A goal for the city clerk's office in the 2014 election is to increase voter turnout. That was down to 47% in 2010.
Hopefully we can encourage more people to get out and vote, and municipal government, in my view, is the most critical one for people on a day-to-day basis. All the services that we rely on a daily basis, the vast majority of them are provided by the municipal government.
The city plans to promote the coming election on social media this time around, with the hopes of increasing the number of young people who cast a ballot. As for those who are looking to run in the election, there's a $100 fee to run for school board trustee or a council position, and a $200 fee to run for mayor. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
Thunder Bay police are looking into 2 stabbing incidents, one on each side of the city overnight. Around 8:30 on South May Street, a woman was taken to hospital for non-life-threatening injuries after being stabbed in the back. City police say it's believed the attacker and the victim knew each other, and the investigation continues. Then at around 9 o'clock last night, a man was stabbed in the stomach on Picton Avenue. The victim required surgery for his wounds, and another man is in custody. Police say those 2 men are known to each other. A Kenora OPP officer has been charged with theft under $5,000 after an incident last Saturday in that community. 45-year-old Steve Tetro has been a member of the provincial police for 24 years. The OPP are not releasing any details about what was allegedly stolen. Tetro was not on duty at the time of the incident and is currently on leave from the force. He'll appear in court on February 13th. The market for minerals contracted in 2013, laying waste to Ontario's junior mining sector and dropping the value of gold to levels not seen since 2009. Local mining experts are cautiously optimistic about a turnaround in 2014, and in northwestern Ontario, they say gold is going to lead the way. John Thompson has that story.
North American Palladium's Lac des Îles mine is set to expand in 2014, and Rubicon's Phoenix Gold project in Red Lake expects to break ground between the third quarter of 2014 and early 2015. At a capacity of 1,250 tons a day, Rubicon will be the next elephant gold mine among many planned across northwestern Ontario. Also among those is New Gold's recently acquired Rainy River Gold project, which will publish a feasibility study next month. John Mason is the project manager of mining services with the Community Economic Development Commission. While he is confident that mining development is on the rise, he echoes the concerns of Red Lake and the companies operating there regarding their electricity demand. He said that he hopes Ontario Power Authority is getting the message that mining development is supported elsewhere in Canada and that energy infrastructure investment in the Northwest is an immediate need.
Stephen Harper and his economic action plan, the Northwest Transmission Line that is being built now, it's almost completed, will access 3 mine projects and 8 First Nations. It's a perfect scenario in terms of a catalyst for quality of life in the broadest context, as well as providing an economic development catalyst. And that's being done. So why can't it be done in Ontario?
The Ontario Prospectors Association Executive Director Gary Clark watched last year's shift in investor culture strand the ambition of junior mining companies. He says another shift is beginning to take place where a market that overheated with too many players is starting to consolidate.
What you're seeing now is a lot of mergers of juniors together and a lot of companies that are actually going right off the board. They're just going bankrupt. And what'll happen is it'll basically weed it out, and then there'll be some quality projects that you can get into, or quality juniors that you can get into. And that's when people come back.
Although gold lost a third of its value last year in the biggest drop since 1981, the most precious metal surged in the past 2 weeks, closing on Friday at $1,238 an ounce. If it continues to hover at the $1,200 mark, it will continue to leave its mark on northwestern Ontario for 2014. John Thompson, TBT News.
White Cedar Pharmacy is expanding in northwestern Ontario. The organization announced today that it has purchased a Thunder Bay IDA and will increase their ability to provide a broad range of pharmaceutical services with a specialty in addiction services. The acquisition means that White Cedar will be able to use IDA services to sell prescriptions and help reach more patients. White Cedar works with the Ontario Addiction Treatment Centre right now to deal with addiction patients. Their acquisition of IDA will allow them to serve more regular prescription patients as well. Staff at the IDA location will be moved to White Cedar during the 1-month transition. That will allow White Cedar to open satellite services across our region.
We will provide the medication from here, and it will be shipped to 5 different satellite locations. Actually, there's 6. One of which IDA has already been servicing, and that's Atikokan. And then we have other areas Hearst, Constance Lake, Dryden, Sioux Lookout, and Fort Francis. So places that don't have access to addiction services will be able to reach.
The expansion will also allow White Cedar to provide services to 5 First Nation communities in the region. Their client list will grow from a few hundred total in Thunder Bay to nearly 300 regular prescription patients and 2,500 addiction service patients across our region. It's a service designed to get people home safely during the holidays. And this year, Operation Red Nose is celebrating yet another successful season with over 748 rides home. St. John Ambulance has officially wrapped up the 5th year of the program, which takes potential impaired drivers and their vehicles home. December 14th marked the busiest night to this date with over 111 rides provided. However, the service wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for the 250 volunteers who dedicated their time over a 14-night run.
Really enjoy it. Most of the people who have been here all 5 years will always help the people who are here the first year and they're just trying it out. But we have extensive orientations and training so that they know what they're getting themselves into. But it always goes over very well, and every single volunteer said they're going to come back next year.
The organization received nearly $29,000 in donations from both corporations and those using the service. The money raised goes towards funding youth programs throughout the year, which might not otherwise be possible. Right now, the Red Nose campaign spans over 14 nights, but Prairie says that could grow in the coming years due to the number of people who use the service.
In some places, they do it year-round. In some places, they do it longer than just the Christmas season. As of right now, with the volunteer capacity that we have, we do only do the Christmas season. But that's all we can handle right now.
Prairie adds the operation didn't face any major issues this year, except for a few people who weren't able to provide adequate car insurance. Local fans of dog sled racing will want to head to the Grand Portage Casino tomorrow morning. That's the launch point for the 2nd annual Gitchigami Express Sled Dog Race. Go, 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 go! Last year's event attracted 19 teams trying to win a share of the $25,000 in prize money. This year, there are 14 mushers coming from all over North America. Race director Beth Drast says they're trying to build this into a top-quality race, which pays tribute to the sled dog history of northern Minnesota. And with all the snow this year, she says the trail conditions are ideal for the sled dogs.
The purse is $25,000, and it has been underwritten by the Grand Portage Band of Lake Superior Chippewa, and that has really started to attract the higher numbers and the good and the better teams. We have mushers coming down from Alaska, and we have 2 teams from Canada as well, notably musher Bud Streeper out of British Columbia. He is a world champion.
The race is being held in 3 stages and covers a total of 180 miles around Cook County. The first 60-mile stage kicks off just outside the Grand Portage Casino at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's 10 o'clock local time. The sled dog teams will leave every 3 minutes in staggered start, and the race wraps up on Monday afternoon.